Hello, everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Martijn Lofvers. I'm the Chief Trend Watcher of Supply Chain Media. I'm also the Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Movement. That's a quarterly magazine in Europe, but also bi-weekly newsletter, website, LinkedIn group. And last but not least, I'm also the architect of the SCM IT software map. And we'll discuss later because we will talk about warehouse management systems and the intelligent ones this afternoon. And we have 5 experts in our call. So let me introduce to you the experts I'm in the call with. So next to me, you see me on the left. You see Wim Van Loo, General Manager of Benelux of Generix. Wim, welcome.
Hello, nice to be here. Welcome to everybody.
So, yeah, welcome. Next to Wim, we have Rüdiger Stauch, Head of Sales of PSI Logistics. Rüdiger, welcome. Yep, welcome. Loud and clear. Next, Henk-Jan van Donkelaar. He is Managing Director of the Benelux of Consafe Logistics.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Looking forward to this webinar.
And we have Steve Timberlake. He is Director of Enterprise Engagement at Körber.
Good afternoon, welcome. Everybody. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. And last but not least, Matt Kennedy. He is a WMS Solution Engineer at Oracle. Matt, welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So, practical things.
The presentation I could see, yes.
Yeah. So basically, when we before we get into,
I will make a completely restart.
No, please join. Hey, stay on, Rüdiger. Before we go into deep with the WMS, we will have some practical stuff. So this webinar is recorded, will be made available on YouTube afterwards. So there are some ways to ask questions. You see the chat functionality on the right-hand side, but yeah, and you can use the chat, but please use the Q&A bubbles. That's the small text bubbles one below. You can ask questions to all of us during the conversation. If the questions are in line of the conversation we're having, I will ask these questions immediately. If not, I will save them for last. So next, you'll see after 5 o'clock CET, we'll have the extra 30 minutes in the after talk and in a virtual lounge. So we will have 5 tables of all the WMS vendors. So do you want to have an extra 30 minutes and a one-on-one conversation? You can join them at the table. And then you have kind of Zoom meeting and you can have all more questions with all of them. As of now, I'll put off my camera so you have a better view on the slide. So, okay, now let's dig deep into the content of this afternoon. So as you see, we have a lot of black swans in the last 4 years with COVID, war in Ukraine, Gaza, last year, and even CSRD. It seems like a bit of a black swan. Some companies are thinking, I'm not publicly traded, so it's not hitting me. But all in all, 55,000 companies in Europe will be impacted by the CSRD regulations. And as you can see, there are all kind of ripple effects leading to bullwhips, inflation, cost increase, and recession, and you name it. Wim, what's your take if you look at this? What is the appetite for WMS and TMS in your opinion?
Well, of course, there are a lot of focuses here on this slide. Let me restrict myself to the upper right corner about sustainability. So first of all, as a responsible tech player, Generix, of course, works every day on building a sustainable world, but so do our customers and prospects. It's not only about reducing, reducing carbon footprint, reducing impact of handling activities, reducing building space and paper consumption, but it's also about optimizing. I think that the main goal nowadays is to optimize resources, to minimize impacts on the environment in a networked economy. And the good balance is to do this kind of automation and optimizations, but however, while delivering on your customers' expectations, because the best stock is no stock, but you have to be able to deliver to have your service levels People want to be served at home in different warehouses. So it's not only by reducing, but I think that we think that it's much more about optimization. And perhaps just another thing, it's also about quality, because errors, an error causes is a kind of margin killer. So it's also about resiliency, capable of managing end-to-end operations. You see e-commerce on your slide, Martijn. So it's about covering the entire consumer purchasing journey from sale to delivery across sales channels, stores, e-commerce. So it's let's say it's simple but not easy. It's however important for our customers.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, thank you for your, answer. So, getting back on that, there are a lot of warehouses. Here you see the ecosystem of household products. It's not a linear supply chain anymore. It's a circular ecosystem. So, basically, what you see here is all the participants in the ecosystem of household products, the world of Procter & Gamble, detergent, that kind of stuff. But basically, apart from the gray blocks, all these entities have some inventory and have some warehouses, and that leading to also a lot of complexity. So, Steve, what's your take if you look at this, being from Körber?
Yeah, and this infographic really highlights complexity at its highest here, and that these supply chains are intricate selection of nodes that actually can be quite fragile. From your last slide, the only certainty that we have is the prediction of uncertainty. And if we look at a macro level, one of the things that our customers are looking at, and the market in general, is around that agility and resilience within this complex web. We're seeing a very high focus now on information security and supply chain security. How data as well as goods flow across this network, how inventory can be placed closer to the point of consumption, and how, as to one of the other panelists said, Wim said earlier, around the optimization of the overall network as opposed to just the single nodes within the network. Sustainability is incredibly important at all levels, and in your infographic here you have operations of varying sizes and complexities within each node, each of which are trying to optimize their facility. They're on different stages of maturity in their digitalization programs or the digital transformation programs, all of whom are trying to retain labor and the challenges around labor whilst exceeding customers' expectations in the kind of customer experience piece, which is becoming more and more prevalent to kind of consumer behavior, even in a business-to-business market.
So I created this overview, and basically what we see lately is a higher dependence and a higher interest on WMS, but also on transport management systems, because the execution is getting more and more complex, and that's one thing, and that's the reason why we have this webinar and we have these experts of you all. Like I said, I'm the architect of the SCM IT Subpremap Europe. So basically, we have mapped out all the major supply chain software vendors in Europe since 2011 every year. And basically, this visualization depicts all the different vendors, but also the different kind of flavors of software, from ERP, WMS, TMS, SNOP, end-to-end supply chain visibility, and you name it. It's all there. So basically, this is an overview of all the software vendors who are established and have enough implementations to be accredited for. And basically, these are the 5 participants in our call. So we have a Generix, we have Oracle, PSI Logistics, Consafe Logistics, and Körber. And what we see here, and it's maybe Matt, you are from Oracle. So Oracle, you have the whole enchilada from ERP to probably what don't you have, to the other end is Consafe Logistics. So this is one depiction of the different kind of flavors. So Matt, do you also see the different kind of flavors in your environment of people who are looking for software?
Yeah, and I mean a lot of customers sort of come to Oracle WMS or look for a WMS are at different stages of their sort of buying cycle, if you like. So some might have a TMS or some might have an ERP, and they're looking to kind of extend into WMS. And yeah, equally, some might have a WMS. More and more, we're speaking to customers that the WMS is coming to end of life. It's out of maintenance from a certain time, and they're looking to move towards cloud and SaaS, and that's becoming a lot more popular.
Yeah. So these are the experts, and we will address the typical points of what they are addressing on the WMS space. But before we go in there, I get a lot of questions about sales and operations planning is hot. But now in the last 2 years, and it's also related to all the ripple effects we have seen earlier with Bull, etc. There's a need of sales and operation execution. So companies coming forward, supply chain professionals coming forward, they ask me, yes, there is software for SNOP, but is there also SNOE software available? My answer is yes and no. There's no SNOE software package as such, because basically, the execution layer is based on transport orders, sales orders, production orders, etc., and also in the warehouse environments. So WMS is, in my opinion, part of SNOE. So that's how do you look at it. And basically, when you look at this building, you have a planning tower, and you enter the building with your orders, and then you go to your ERP, your transaction layer, and upwards. First, you have your execution, and then you have your planning. It's the longer horizon, and then you go to the area of IBP and end-to-end and network design, etc. So that's the whole thing. Before we go into that, Henk-Jan, so we go to your part. What is your take if you look at this?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think the main change in the from a warehousing perspective or logistics in general perspective is what we see over the last years is that whereas logistics was seen as a cost center, now warehousing is seen as a potential differentiator, creating more customer value. Hence, that we see a lot of more investments in a TMS or WMS, making that possible, because the end customers are getting more and more demanding, and we need to serve them in a better way. And as such, we see a lot of more interest in, for instance, the implementation of a warehouse management solution, enabling that.
And what you mentioned in our brief call beforehand, so it's also about planning, looking ahead. So also, we look at demand planning in the SNOP environment, but that's also hitting your environment, isn't it?
No, absolutely. Because yes, there's a lot of more investments in the warehousing space where they look at, okay, what can we do more efficient today and tomorrow? But the real benefit is if you can really look ahead and become more predictable, so that okay, how many operators do I need in the operation? There's a lot of interest now in more flexible automation, which is also connected to the predictability and scalability. I think what the colleagues also said, okay, agility is key, and the WMS solution, and at least the intelligent ones, are enabling that as well. But that needs integration to other systems as well to capture the data and then do intelligent things with it from a warehousing perspective.
Yeah. All right. So you are, as responsible person from Consafe Logistics, WMS software vendor. So what's your take? What is the importance of a WMS vendor?
Yeah, I think that has changed over the past years, because we have now 5 vendors in this call. All the solutions are great solutions, can do similar things. So it's not just about the software anymore, where 25 years ago, the one product was just twice as good as the other. So that means basically that customers are looking for a partner, yes, with a leading product, but it is also important how to translate your warehouse operation to the product. And that means that you need in our case, consultants and project managers who know how a warehouse operation is running and can, to the best of their abilities, help customers in their warehouse operation itself to strive for what we call operational excellence. And that means also that they do expect what they call often a forward-leaning partnership, which is not only about the product, but they do expect us to bring them, okay, what is happening in the market? What are the key trends? And what does that mean for our business? And how are you preparing to help us in that context? So if you look then, let's say, at 4 key trends, besides the ones that have already been mentioned by my colleagues here, like information security and agility, is that artificial intelligence is becoming more and more important. And Consafe Logistics has been a front runner in this. We have been doing this for the past 7 years already. So that basically means that you constantly are looking to the best solutions in a warehousing environment. And sustainability already has been mentioned. And I will not go into detail on artificial intelligence because I know one of my colleagues will talk about that in a bit more detail. A digital twin is basically a digital copy of your warehouse where you can do some scenario planning. So before making any changes in your warehouse environment, you can just play around to see, okay, what would be the effect if I change this in my warehouse, if I move goods from A to B. Sustainability also has been addressed already. And that's about, for instance, not shipping air anymore, drive as less mileage as possible in a warehousing environment, but also in the context of the EU rules, our customers need to report sustainability numbers, and the WMS will provide them with all the needed numbers they need to report. And robotics, and especially flexible automation, is a key trend we do see. And that is a key trend that has been going on for some years now. So you do see a shift from, let's say, manual operations to highly automated operations, which you see in the next slide. When you look at
before we go there, I had a question. What I since on sustainability, I think packaging is a enormous aspect of sustainability, and I can imagine if you look in a warehouse, what kind of packaging you are using and to fill it up, the boxes, etc. So I think that in that aspect, packaging has a huge impact of your sustainability in the warehouse environment.
No, actually, and that's a very good question, because for a couple of our customers, based on all our data in the WMS, we can actually help them that because we do have customers who initially had like 6 package types, but based on the data, we said, yeah, okay, you should have 3 and you should have 1 that is that you don't have today, based on all the data. So that is actually also helping our customers to be more sustainable, driven by the data that comes out of a WMS. So that's indeed very true.
Yeah, and another thing is digital twin. There might be some confusion. A digital twin can be on a machine level, can be on a warehouse level, or can even on an ecosystem or supply chain level. So that's sometimes confusing. But you can have a digital twin of your warehouse and then do some scenarios as such.
Yes.
Getting back to what you mentioned, can you explain a bit more what kind of type of warehouses are you servicing, and how does it relate to WMS?
Yeah. If you then go to the next slide, there you basically see the landscape of warehouse operations we and my colleagues who are in the call also serve. So traditionally, it has been conventional warehouses, meaning manual operated warehouses where you just use the WMS. To go to more efficiency in those operations, and we still serve those as there's no mechanization, no automation, but that is currently about 40% of the existing customer base, but that is rapidly moving towards the right, whereas the majority of our current customers is in the what we call semi-automated operations, which, for instance, do have a pick-to-light system or a Cardex system, conveyor system, and they are using those artificial intelligence optimization modules. And then you have on the right-hand side, which is currently about 10% of our customer base, fully automated warehouses where there is close to zero or none manual operations anymore. And then you are getting into more complex warehouse environments where you have ASRS, high base, robots, etc. So the full scope, and that is shifting quite rapidly. Also driven by the fact that warehouse capacity, labor is getting more scarce. And this is just an example of some of our local customers where you have different solutions from shuttle systems, etc.
Yeah. All right.
Just
Thanks.
a flavor of what you see. But this is for sure a key trend. So automation is rapidly gaining market share.
Okay. So Henk-Jan, thanks. So Wim, can you tell me a bit about Generix, and then we go a bit about your WMS views?
Yes, indeed. So we are a global SaaS player in Belgium, the Netherlands, which I'm responsible for. We mainly focus on medium and large businesses. Worldwide, in multiple countries, we have about 5,000 customers. We have 1,250 employees. We had a SaaS growth, because I think that's very important, last year of more than 30%. And we tend to invest 20% of our turnover every year in research and development. So one of the things I've discussed with your slide, Martijn, were the sustainability drivers, and in fact it comes back in our brief portfolio presentation here. So it's all about managing your end-to-end operation. So at the left side, you see the supply chain solutions. Of course, we think, and we come a little bit further on that a little bit later. It's about WMS, DMS, YMS, also resource management, and making the link to the presentation of Henk-Jan. Effectively, resource management is not only optimizing routes for robots and forklifts, but it's also about which operator can be at the best time, at the best location, in order to work as much efficiently as possible. It's also about e-commerce. When we talk about e-commerce, I already told you it's much more about unified commerce, but we also need to have this B2B integration. And I refer to your remark, Martijn, of sales and operations execution. Well, indeed, if you have interfacing with the ERP, if you have your WMS systems, well, then an automated invoice management, an automated order management system could help you to automate and digitize your data flows, your financial transactions, your invoicing and payment processes. And in that case, you are going to reduce operating costs. So that's also about sustainability. Perhaps another thing about this slide, because we don't have too much time, but in fact, this circle of integration is also about transition from traditional value chains, which were very static and limited, to more disruptive and networked digital value chains. I think about on-premise, which is almost completely out of life, end of life now, switching to SaaS and modular systems instead of big bangs with WMS, DMS together. You work modular. You try to capture the processes in a standard software, and automation via workflows is much more. You'll see that with our colleagues in the AI presentation. Static automation via workflows is much more replaced by intelligent automation with AI at this moment. Yeah, and so that leads to a kind of a group of sales and operations execution solutions, which make that, for instance, that VMI is also adapted in a WMS and a TMS. So you can, with your customers, with your suppliers, you can steer on promotions. You can try to round your logistic units much more than before. So in fact, this wheel of integration is also about sustainability and automation. Yeah?
And if you zoom
go
into WMS,
yeah, if you go to the WMS, I'm not going to point everything here, but it's first of all, for ergonomics, for your operators, you need a modern and intuitive, user-friendly multi-device graphical user interface. So that, for instance, for interim employees, operators, we just need a video of 15 minutes to make them clear to start picking. Henk-Jan was also, I think, talking about resources and teams, etc. So you really need to have a software that guides people, that tells them what to do, and that makes it much more easy to handle. You should also think at the right side about integration and automation. Some benchmarks with our customers learned us that every scan you have to take means €1.5. So if you can, if we are going to implement with the customer, we do not only have to take in account as this situation, but also the to-be situation, and think about how can you optimize, how can you reduce costs, and how you can reduce effort for your employees. Otherwise, it's we see that it's very important, and that's what we have in our software too, to have real-time monitoring dashboards. And it's essential that you can drop down, that you can go very fast to your root cause analysis. Okay, what is the situation? Where are my goods? What's happening? How we can solve this? And if you can combine that with AI, so that people are a little bit guided on how to find a solution, that's what we do. Then you will also optimize your processes. Of course, which kind of processes do we automate? Well, very typical for WMS, but also more, because we have a lot of retailers, wholesalers, and 3PLs in our customer focus. So it means that besides the traditional modules, we also have to think about stock visibility. We have to think about invoicing value-added services. I think it's not a secret that most of the enterprises try to, when they have added value or value logistics services, that they try to invoice it to their customers, to their end customers, to their 3PL. So it means that first of all, you need to know which kind of services do you have to apply, but you also have to integrate it in your invoicing schemes. That's I hope within a couple of minutes I've drawn the picture of what we are doing. And of course you have data power capabilities, whether you use our BI tool or your own, because the integral visibility through the supply chain is that important nowadays, that we also integrate it in a collaboration portal for your partners, for your customers, for your suppliers. So you can make that your customers and suppliers and carriers also profit of your integral visibility in your supply chain.
So Wim, it's good to mention you, because you are delivering a WMS system to 3PLs, logistics service companies, but also wholesale retailers and manufacturers, what we call shippers, every word. But maybe it's good to say that there are both flavors available, or for WMS. Yeah, indeed, it's normally we have to put here the slide with all our customers and logos, and we will certainly would like to discuss that. But I just have chosen two customer cases where you see that ID Logistics, but you also have Kuhn and Nagel and others in our customer base, that for them it's very important that the warehouse management system allows them to automate processes, to visualize data in real time, in order to, with the root cause analysis, to solve problems as soon as efficient as possible. That's what I also tried to explain with the previous slide. Of course, it's nice to hear that we are aware of all the technologies and we can help them. But I think that bottom line for them, the most important thing is that they can work user friendly, that they can also, when customers for them are
demanding a lot of new possibilities and collaborative functions that they can deliver it. And the second one there, just one of them is Sonepar. For them, it was as a wholesaler, a worldwide wholesaler, it was important to integrate WMS and TMS, because what we really see indeed is that the functionalities of WMS and TMS are much more integrated nowadays. So it makes just some numbers, not too many, of course, but for Carrefour, we have consolidated their small supplier stocks, and then you see about 20% less handling cost per pallet. You see, for instance, 25% less CO2 and 70% increase of vehicle loads. So that's why it's not like an ERP, just WMS, TMS, handling and managing your operations, but it's also much more about using your WMS and TMS to optimize things. I think that's the message what our customers want today and what we can bring.
Okay, thanks. Matt, can you introduce you briefly about Oracle? We know Oracle, but maybe you can say something more. Before we go into the WMS space.
Yeah, sure. Hi everybody. So I guess most people have obviously heard of Oracle, and in most cases worked with Oracle in some way, whether it's integrated into an ERP or something like that. So yeah, it's a little bit of a colossus, right? And these numbers here kind of show that. This is a global sort of from the corporate slide deck. 430,000 customers worldwide, and huge amount of investment in R&D. And sort of within that, I mean, you touched on it earlier. It really is the sort of full scope of business solutions that we're trying to solve, really, across HCM, ERP, EPM, customer experience, and then obviously supply chain management, where logistics cloud is placed. So even within supply chain management, we've got around 20 products, of which WMS is one. And then also on top of that, we've got all of the Oracle industry-specific applications, where we've got applications specifically for things like healthcare, hospitality, and retail is an interesting one because, well, there is a sort of an almost symbiotic relationship with those guys and us because obviously we serve the retail sector as well, and they're offering things like merchandising, forecasting, down to like hardware in stores, and things like POS. So yeah, more and more we are working with our colleagues in the retail sector, and of course all of these applications are built on top of Oracle's high performing affordable platform and infrastructure, which in some cases is what Oracle is best known for. Going back to when we were founded in 1977, the infrastructure is certainly known as kind of best in class. And yeah, I mean, I suppose the main strength of that then as a business of what we offer is the fact that it's we can offer that security, things like disaster recovery. The applications are highly reliable, highly stable, and we can offer that sort of better performance. And then obviously because our applications are cloud, we've got 4 quarterly updates a year. Speaking just within supply chain management, we've got around 200 updates and enhancements, and then specifically on WMS, it's between 30 and 50 enhancements per quarter. So just sort of digging into that a little bit, because a lot of our customers we speak to are like, that's kind of a little bit daunting that we're going to have all these changes. Is it going to be sort of similar to like a mobile phone, like OS update, where I wake up in the morning and my phone's, looks completely different, it's behaving completely different. 70% of the changes that are delivered are kind of, we call them small and no specialized skill required to deliver them. So it's things that can be turned on or off. It's things that we can sort of activate. So a lot of our customers do sort of it's almost like Christmas comes every quarter and they're looking to see what has been delivered. So yeah, I noticed that you flashed up the sort of the specific WMS functionality slide there. So yeah, we say we've got sort of 3 guiding principles really across Oracle applications, which we try and offer everything that you need, innovation that matters, and then we're committed to your success. So I think, Henk mentioned earlier, there's probably a lot of these sort of slides going to be shown, and probably a lot of us can do sort of same things. And in a lot of cases, customers don't need everything that a WMS can offer. But yeah, so out of the box, the Oracle Cloud WMS does, from inbound to outbound, everything in between. We've got some really neat sort of functionalities that have been embedded, things like the label designer. So my background is implementation, so like labels and reports and these types of things that you have to do sometimes in an external application or a different license. It can be tricky to implement. Oracle WMS has got it within the UI out of the box, so you can drag and drop, design your own labels as templates in there. Things like simple labels, LPNs, up to like more complicated things like shipping labels and dynamic images and things like this. So that is quite a nice feature. Also AI and machine learning. That's the sort of hot topic on everybody's lips, even if a lot of customers don't necessarily know what they want. They just sort of, it's the buzzword, and we've got a number of different sort of functionalities that have been embedded. So we've got.
So I see a chatbot at the lower end of the left side. So is there a chatbot inside the WMS when you can ask certain questions?
Yeah. So that's brand new actually. It's just been delivered in 24C. So the latest release actually that's been put in. So it kind of builds on one of the other AI or machine learning offerings, which is the order fulfillment dashboard. So it looks at like existing data, sales data, and it predicts future orders when they'll be shipped. So you can make changes to like you can release a wave earlier, or you can add more resource to a particular area or department in the warehouse. So the chatbot is sort of built on that, in the fact that you can, and it's kind of designed to sort of change, the way that you interact with your WMS, in that rather than going and looking for a report to say like which orders are at risk, or where do I need to sort of focus some activity, or resource, you can ask directly the chatbot within the application. Some people are a little bit on the fence about it because it's a bit like, and I'm not sort of completely sold on it myself, but you could ask it things like, like which orders are at risk, and then the prompts will sort of say like, what would you like me to change the priority of these tasks, or would you like me to do different activities? So yeah, that's in there and it's out of the box.
So if we look at it, it's visual on the right hand side. It resembles a lot of the designs of the warehouse when you have the inbound, and then you have your aisles, etc., and your process within, and then the outbound. So this reflects probably a warehouse, but it also reflects the functionality of your WMS. Can you tell us about a use case and what are the challenges and how to use that?
Use case for so next slide we've got similar to Wim. I was tempted to which customer do I pick to talk about. We can all show a big page of logos and it might be a little bit confusing, or what does it really mean, but this is a particularly nice one, Nadi Medical. So these they're one of the largest healthcare retailers in the Middle East. They've got over 1,000 stores, and they needed to modernize, sort of not specifically but they lost a lot of their sales through COVID, and they needed to kind of like tap into the e-com market. So because obviously, like everywhere else in the world, no one could get to a shop or a store to make these purchases. So they, as a part of a transformation, they actually did take the Oracle Retail as well, and in looking at Oracle Retail, sort of discovered that the fully sort of integrated approach was more preferable to them. Rather than dealing with 5, 6, 7, 10 vendors with one hand to shake, they sort of took Oracle WMS, transport management, and a number of the supply chain modules as well. And as you can see there from that quote, they were, within 2 months they were able to 5x what they were outputting through their old warehouse. And it's a nice example as well, because they've got this, I think 7 or 8 individual MHE like automation vendors. So they've got full ASRS. They're doing voice picking in there for some of the case picking, and yeah, it's conveyors. There's some really nice videos actually on YouTube that are available. So if anybody wants to just search Natty Medical WMS, yeah, there's about at least 5 quite nice videos. And yeah, so there's 7 or 8 vendors that are all controlled through the Oracle WCS module.
Right. Because of time, we have to go to the next. So maybe thanks for now. Steve, could you introduce Körber a bit, and what is your strength and your opinion of Körber, and what are your views on WMS?
Absolutely, thank you, Martin. So Körber has been in the supply chain business for over 50 years now. We're a large German-owned business owned by the Körber Foundation, and we have, as part of our overall business, several different business units, and I focus on supply chain software. And our business in particular is looking to build the world's leading supply chain execution suite of software, and a lot of that centralizes around warehouse management. But as part of that portfolio and part of that ecosystem, we have order management, warehouse control, and recently acquired transport management as well. We look at a solution on a global level. So typically, our customers for what we're going to talk about today are complex enterprise businesses that, if we think back to your infographic from earlier on in the webinar, they've got different levels of maturity within their organization. And we're working with centers of excellence, operational excellence, on how do you rationalize that technology estate within a large complex enterprise business to give you best practice, create standardization, create process that enables a sustainable future for those businesses, and an effective route forward whilst maintaining cost as well, and all the good things around having a strong WMS gives from a productivity and contribution to EBITDA perspective. One of our absolute key strengths, though, is that the Körber Enterprise solution is viewed as the most customizable WMS, which means we take a process-oriented approach as opposed to a set of fixed functionality approach to a particular project. So that means that whilst you have a set of robust base starting processes, the whole solution is designed to enable both customers to take ownership of configuring the solution to best work for their businesses. So we think about that at an enterprise level, where you have different markets and where you have different territories that have different requirements. At abstracting to a top level, you can retain control of your top level processes and define those, but you can allow, without source code modification, regionalized changes in process so that you can cater for your local markets and local expertise and maturities within those warehouses.
So when I look at it, I see the ROI dashboard, the mentioning, focusing on the process. If you look at the functionality, it's all there. But maybe you can point
Absolutely.
out what's the meaning of all this, and what is the strength you offer.
So, as you could expect from a leading WMS, it does everything that a WMS needs to do at that level. And as other colleagues have touched on, there most of the solutions on the call here will be capable of running all warehouse processes. So there's nothing really on here that should come as a huge surprise or a huge gap. Where we have that differentiator is that we have this first of all, the integrated suite. So we're one of the only vendors that has a natively integrated warehouse control system that's vendor agnostic as well, allowing you to have multiple vendors providing your your equipment in the warehouse, but controlled through a single source system. But the key element is really in the bottom of this slide. So many WMSs consist of on-off configuration, so switches and flags where things are turned on and things are turned off. The Körber solution extends that to several layers of configurability from the enterprise perspective. So you can have full control over the user experience. Building your own screens, dashboards, ingesting data from other solutions. You have complete control of the business process configuration. So you can create whole new processes to either tailor for customer demand, change in market, which means we talked about being agile earlier. You can very quickly pivot processes or adapt processes within the operation to suit business needs. So if a company's bought another company or there's been a change in direction of the company and they need to make changes, or if they're a 3PL, they've acquired another company, very quickly can they reconfigure business processes using low-code, no-code tools to get them up and running. There's been mention in the chat around APIs and integrations, and there's a very strong tool set within Körber, which is all around allowing APIs to be designed by the enterprise itself. So whilst you have standardized endpoints, if you require specific API endpoints to be built, you have a low-code, no-code tool that allows you to spin up RESTful endpoints and put them through your iPaaS layer or direct point-to-point integrations, so that you're never having that problem as to, well, how do I integrate this within my WMS ecosystem? You've got a very flexible set of tools in it to enable you to do that. So not only is it process rich, but that flexibility allows customers to move quickly and generate value quickly, so they can progress their business and they can generate either operational savings, but they can use the WMS as an overall growth enabler for the business as well, allowing it to explore new revenue streams and new ways of working, which otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do with a solution with fixed functionality.
Maybe this also addresses the level of complexity and how to progress.
Exactly. So our clients range from level 1 through to level 5 operations. Level 5 being the most highly complex automated sites. And if we think back to the words from Consafe earlier, those very highly automated warehouses, and every step there in between, and enabling you to go on that journey of maturity. So not every enterprise is ready to take a journey, and enterprises have to be at the right stage of maturity to move forward in a path towards automation. And our solutions at Körber can help each business move through that levels of complexity and that levels of maturity. And we've got strong examples and reference customers in each of those areas. Where we've got particular strength is enabling kind of technology-enabled companies that have a strong presence from a technology perspective, enable them to extend and adapt the WMS solution so they can build their own experiences. Something like HelloFresh is a great example, or QVC there, that need that innovation within their supply chain technologies in order to create great customer experiences, but also create the overall operational efficiencies that the global businesses require, and being able to support at a global level as well.
Okay, thanks. Steve, thanks. That's very insightful. So Rüdiger, can you explain about the PSI logistics? You have a broad portfolio, but maybe you can zoom in the WMS space. I hope that Rüdiger can hear me. Rüdiger? So you were on there, but unfortunately, I cannot hear Rüdiger, but I heard him before. So that's unfortunate, but I have talked to him before. So basically, PSI Logistics has a broader range of a portfolio in logistics, but also they have their own WMS applications, and they have different flavors made for the cloud. And as you can see here, they have Edition Go, Flex, and Pro, different levels, also different implementation times. So that's what they're at. I cannot hear him, so that's a bit unfortunate still. So basically, we had some interesting things to discuss about AI, the use of AI in the warehouse environment. So basically, how do you use and how do you apply AI in a warehouse environment? Like I mentioned with Henk-Jan before, you can use a digital twin environment. So you can create a digital twin of your warehouse, and then you can do simulations in different kind of scenarios, and AI will pick up the best scenarios using machine learning and what are the shortest fix times, and do you want to create waves or not, etc. Another aspect is visualization. More and more, you want to visualize what's happening in your process in the warehouse. And also on the left side, you see a pick list optimizer. So based on your experience in the previous runs, you can have optimize a picking list. We all know, you travel a lot during warehouse and picking if you haven't automated it yet, but there's a lot of way to optimize it with AI. And also lower left on the batch size, you can also see how to apply what is the best batch and how to assign it to order pickers in the warehouse. And also there's automated ways to handle all your flows and orders. Also, you have different kind of pick-off times, especially when you have an e-commerce environment. You can also use some AI about that. All in all, this is what PSI Logistic has found out. There's a lot of benefits in their projects. What you see here, shortening of the picking path by 30%, and that's huge. So basically, we are talking about labor shortage. Well, in warehouses also, but the main thing is if you are using intelligent warehouse management systems, you can gain a lot of productivity, like is shown here. Shortening the picking path by 30%, that's a huge impact. And that's gaining efficiency. So as shown here on the page, efficiency gains of 20% is real. So basically, you can also enhance the whole process in your warehouse. And last but not least, the analysis part of all the data. So that's surprising me. In a warehouse, you have a lot of data, and it's time to make some sense out of this data and create more efficiency. And I think that AI will help to analyze all this data, but that we have still a huge learning curve. But I think that we'll get there, and now it's time, especially with this kind of advanced systems with the built-in AI and ML, we can make sense more of this data in the warehouse. So it's unfortunate that we cannot hear Rüdiger, but he's still around. But hopefully he will join us in the lounge. So wrapping up, and we get to the Q&A. So basically, Gartner has coined 15 years ago this Gartner page-layered application strategy. Basically, what Gartner is saying, you have different layers of applications. On the lower level, you have your system of records where your orders are coming in. You have your ERP environment, and sometimes you have legacy systems you cannot get rid of for all kind of reasons. And in the middle level, you have your system of differentiation. That's your planning environment, but also your TMS and the WMS. So that's in the middle layer. And on top of that, you have your system of innovation. And when they coined this, you have different separate apps. But now you see it more and more integrated. And like mentioned by the experts, we have a SaaS environment in the cloud. You see this kind of innovation integrated. And like Oracle is mentioning, like Matt was mentioning, you have your updates seamlessly. It's like a Tesla overnight. You get this your update. So basically, the new systems are integrating the top layers. And I think that AI and ML will be ingrained in the system of differentiation, but still the companies have to be ready for that. And I will get to that in the final part. So we have 5 WMS vendors here in the call. And if you are looking for a WMS solution, my advice would be, don't focus only on functionality. Functionality is only one of the dimensions you have to look for when you are choosing a WMS vendor. You have functionality, that's one thing, but also look at technology. Is it built for the cloud, or is it transferred to the cloud? That kind of stuff. In which environment is it built? But on the lower end, lower quadrant, you see delivery, implementation. How is it implemented? Is it implemented by the vendor themselves or by integration partners? How many consultants do they have, and experts, etc. So that's a relevant part. And you see some questions you could ask the vendors. So basically, when you have this slide, you have 4 matrix, and for each vendor, you can create this flow of this visualization and create some dots in the matrix. So then you can compare, and then you can decide which matrix is the most important and leading. And last but not least, the knowledge part. What is the domain expertise of the WMS vendors? What do they know of warehouse management? Do they have do they participate with research with universities? What other kind of experts do they have talking about warehouse management, and not so much the system, but the process itself? And like we mentioned before, we have different levels of complexity and also different level of maturity. So my advice would be, match your warehouse software with your warehouse maturity. So here you see a purple Lamborghini hitting a lamppost, and just coming for the car dealer. So do know if you are prepared for these systems. And some companies have just more than one warehouse, so maybe they have a whole fleet. And be aware, are you ready for all the kind of flavors? Rüdiger, I see you are on the stage right now, bit belated.
Hopefully you could hear me now. I tried.
Yeah, I could hear you. Yeah, so
great.
I went through your slides
yes, it was
briefly.
Good. It was good. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe being on the call. So do you have something to add? So what do you think is the main challenge for choosing a WMS and implementing a WMS?
I think the change process for all who are part of the WMS project is really important, because we can talk about a lot about functionality and technology and everything else, but it's important that the change process is in mind and that everybody knows what's going on and what is the target we will reach by implementing a WMS.
I think that the change management part is very important. We have written an article about onboarding of robotics in Europe. They give names to autonomous mobile robots when they enter the building. So they regard autonomous mobile robot as another colleague, and that's a very powerful and important step for the change management part. One final question. So from the audience, we are almost out of time, but there's a trend that some companies, large companies, develop part of their intelligence themselves outside the applications, say WMS, and connect it to those warehouse modules. When I look at you, Steve, you talk about dashboards. Do you see the same, that companies, large companies, create their own BI dashboards outside of the supply chain applications?
Yes, we do. I mean, you have a tactical aspect of what's included within the supply chain suite, but at enterprise level, aggregation of data feeding into overall business intelligence is usually done through an aggregation layer, a Power BI layer, or something similar. So that's why it's fundamentally really important that those companies can pull data out and push data in and get that intelligence in real time to feed their business decision making.
Yeah. And my take is, I think it's okay that large companies will create their own intelligent environment and dashboards on a higher level. But then again, I also see that there's a need to get more insight on a warehouse level, get digital twins, especially when you have a lot of improvement gains, efficiency gains out of this. So I think even on the warehouse level, there needs some dashboarding, and of course that will be aggregated higher up to a large extent on a supply chain level, I would expect.
Absolutely.
We almost are out of time. I want to wrap up. But the good news is, right after this, you have the availability to sit down with the 5 experts. So right after this, when I wrap up, you can enter the virtual lounge and you can sit at the table of the 5 experts, and you see the company names on the table. So that's right after this. For further information, there's a link to the IT software map, a checklist how to select WMS software. There are deep links to the 5 experts and their solutions right on the right hand side. And the good part is these 5 vendors are all involved at our first WMS demo day in Schiphol in the Netherlands. So if you want to have a live demo of their applications and you want to have a full hour of each of them in one afternoon, please be welcome at the Park Plaza Schiphol Airport on October 9th. So basically from 12 o'clock until 5:30, you will have 5 live demos, and there are a lot of companies going in looking for applications. So you have like-minded people who have also a need for WMS on different levels, but they will probably ask the right questions, and maybe you are intrigued and challenged also by their questions. So please join us if you are looking for a WMS solution, and you can find 5 examples with live demos and live interaction with the likes of them. And I will also be there, and I go through the demos myself, and I get more and more insights on their solutions beyond what I've discussed today in this webinar. For now, I would like to thank the 5 experts. So thank you all for joining. And I would like to thank the audience for participating and watching live or in the recording. So as of now, I would like to say thank you to all, and I hope to see you in the lounge. So right after this, if not, I hope to see you in the next webinar. Thanks for now, and see you next webinar Wednesday, and bye-bye.